Beneath the veneer of skepticism, reality bears witness to chilling truths. In the haunting corridors of history, where shadows dance with undeniable evidence, remember this, the stories are true. Prepare for a revelation. Where the supernatural is stripped of fiction, and the unknown is laid bare, are you ready to confront the undeniable? The stories are true, and the echoes of reality await.
Once upon a time, there was this simple children's toy, right? But it wasn't just any ordinary toy. It had a bit of a mysterious twist. Flashback to the late 1800s, and you've got the birth of the Ouija board. Imagine this. A novelty shop in Pittsburgh luring folks in with the wonderful talking board, promising it to be the most interesting and mysterious thing of the century. Spoiler alert, it kind of was. The ad hype was no joke. The Ouija board became a sensation, claiming to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. People were hooked, some even thinking the dearly departed were influencing them to cough up their hard-earned cash. The craze took off, with detectives trying to solve crimes, murderers blaming the board for their deeds, and religious groups shaking their fists at these tools of Satan. Fast forward to 1913, and we've got Pearl Curran, a regular housewife from Illinois, reluctantly sitting at a neighbor's Ouija board. This high school dropout had never penned anything beyond addressing envelopes. But then, cue the spooky music, the planchette starts doing its thing, and Patience Worth introduces herself from across the sea, claiming she died in 1694 in America. She was an English writer with tales to share. For the next 2 decades, Pearl and Patience teamed up on a writing spree. 88 works in 1 year, talk about productive. They ditched the Ouija board eventually. Pearl found herself immersed in the stories like a kid in a magical picture book, just dictating away. Now Pearl's life didn't become a fairy tale. Financial struggles, failed marriages, the whole shebang. But Patience stuck with her till the end. Apparently, Patience even gave Pearl a heads up about the end of the road, and soon after, pneumonia took Pearl away. And there you have it, the tale of a seemingly innocent children's toy that ended up delivering on its promise to answer questions about the future with marvelous accuracy. Who knew a board with letters and a planchette could stir up so much drama?
And now for another one.
In the heart of Tennessee, 1817, a humble farmhouse nestled amongst the rolling hills became the epicenter of a chilling tale. The Bell family at first brushed off the strange gnawing sounds that echoed within their walls as a mere rodent infestation. Yet as the days turned into weeks, the sounds grew louder, more persistent, and uncannily human. One day, John Bell Sr. spotted a creature that defied logic, a dog with a rabbit's head. Then, a mysterious bird too large to be native perched ominously nearby. As if these sightings weren't bizarre enough, a young girl dressed in green appeared, only to vanish into thin air. The enigma deepened. Bedsheets began to move of their own accord, and John Sr.'s mouth froze, paralyzed. The children weren't spared either. They woke up with scratches, and poor Betsy, the Bell's only daughter, was subjected to invisible slaps and pinpricks. The source of this torment was dubbed the Bell Witch. In desperation, the Bells and their neighbors, the Johnsons, held a prayer session. Instead of providing solace, the session intensified the terror. Sheets levitated, chairs flipped upside down, and the witch, now named Kate, claimed to be a disturbed spirit looking for resolution. While Kate sometimes showed a polite disposition, particularly towards Lucy Bell, she also had a dark side. When Betsy began her courtship, the witch turned violent. Betsy was choked and slapped, her torment punctuated by the haunting sound of a woman's laughter. The only relief came when Betsy was sent away. Even President Andrew Jackson dared to visit the haunted farmhouse, only to be stopped in his tracks by Kate herself. The climax of this terror came when John Bell Sr. was found poisoned. Kate brazenly admitted her responsibility for the deed. Within weeks, John Sr. was no more. In 1821, Kate pledged to return in 7 years. True to her word, she did in 1828, but her presence was brief and less powerful, and she never returned again. People have speculated that the manifestations were poltergeists, possibly linked to Betsy's pubescence. However, the truth remains shrouded in mystery. What is certain is that the Bell family and their community were profoundly affected by the haunting. Their belief in the supernatural cemented, a belief shared by none other than President Jackson himself. Thus ends the tale of the Bell Witch, a story that continues to echo through the annals of paranormal history, a chilling reminder that sometimes the unseen can be the most terrifying of all.
And now for another one.
The tale of the Uniondale ghost is a chilling narrative that has seeped into the crevices of South African lore. It's a saga that begins on a tragic Good Friday in 1968, where a young woman named Maria Charlotte Roux met her untimely end on the desolate N9 highway between Willowmore and Uniondale. She was just 22, a bride-to-be, traveling with her fiancé Gilles when a sudden gust of wind sent their Volkswagen rolling. Tragically, Maria didn't survive. A year later, Gilles moved on, marrying another woman. Was it this act that stirred Maria's spirit into the realm of the living? A question we may never find the answer to. But what we do know is that on Good Friday, 1976, 8 years after Maria's death, a man named Anton Lagrange picked up a hitchhiker on the very same stretch of highway. She was beautiful, gave an address, then vanished into thin air. When Lagrange later heard an eerie laugh or scream in his car, he reported it to the local police. Sergeant Potgieter, who'd been on the force when Maria died, connected the dots. The address the hitchhiker gave was Maria's parents' home. The face Lagrange described was Maria's. The chilling encounters didn't stop there. In 1980, a motorcyclist felt ghostly arms wrap around his waist on the same highway. When he looked down, he saw a woman's hands gripping him tightly. They disappeared as suddenly as they appeared, leaving him with nothing but a chilling memory. The spectral hitchhiker was reportedly seen several more times, always heading to the same address on Porter Street. Her last sighting was in 1984, the same year that Maria's ex-fiancé Gilles tragically died in a car accident. The Uniondale ghost is a tale of love, loss, and lingering spirits. It's a chilling saga that echoes along the desolate N9 highway. Is Maria still out there, hitchhiking her way home? Or has she finally found peace? The question hangs in the air, as tangible and as elusive as the Uniondale ghost herself.
And now for another one.
Hey there! So, check this out. The Chelsea Hotel in New York is like a celebrity hotspot, but not the glamorous kind. You've got legends like Leonard Cohen, Janis Joplin, and even Sid Vicious with his wild and not-so-happy antics. It's basically a rock and roll history book. Now get this spooky story. Back in 2009, there's this guest, Anna, staying at the Chelsea. She's already on edge from weird sounds and footsteps, and then, bam! On the third night, she wakes up to a head floating in front of her mirror. And get this, it's the ghost of Dylan Thomas, the Welsh poet, looking all bug-eyed and creepy. Anna's like, I saw a head in midair, grimacing at me with ear-length, tightly coiled black hair. She even says he had theatrical face paint and lipstick on. Creepy, right? But here's the twist. Dylan Thomas apparently stayed at the Chelsea in 1953 during his tour of the US. Legend has it he went on a legendary drinking spree, 18 whiskeys, and, well, didn't make it through the night. Classic poet move, right? Now, Thomas's ghost isn't new to the scene. People say he visits the White Horse Tavern too, where he went on that epic drinking binge. They even petitioned against renovating the place, fearing his ghost wouldn't come back. Spoiler alert, renovations happened, and the ghost returned for the drinks. The hotel, though, is throwing some shade at Anna's story, saying, nah, Dylan haunts room 205, not 114. Ghost drama, my friend. So, even in the afterlife, poets know how to keep things interesting.
And now for another one.
Check out this fascinating slice of American history. This charming three-bedroom farmhouse in Villisca, Iowa, exudes a classic dollhouse vibe with its white clapboard walls, a cute gabled roof, and an inviting porch. But wait, hold on to your hat because there's an unexpected twist. In 1994, a pair of visionaries, Darwin and Martha Lynn, caught sight of this gem and were filled with aspirations of transforming it into a museum. Their aim, to provide a glimpse into the early 20th century lifestyle. However, the estate agent may have conveniently glossed over a key piece of information, a sign prominently displayed in the front yard that reveals the Villisca Ax Murder House, June 10, 1912. The scoop is this. On the night of June 9, 1912, the Moore family and two friends were enjoying a Children's Day service at their local church. By the next day, however, they had mysteriously disappeared. Their concerned neighbor, Mary Peckham, decided to investigate, and what she encountered was bone-chilling. The entire Moore family, along with their two friends, had met a brutal end at the hands of Josiah's axe. The crime scene painted a terrifying picture, with covered mirrors, hidden faces of the victims, and a bowl filled with bloody water, hinting at the killer's cleanup routine after the horrific act. Next, we turn our attention towards the suspects. Reverend George Kelly, who was later committed to a mental institution, and Paul Muller, an immigrant from Germany with a notorious history of serial killings, were amongst those investigated. Despite intense scrutiny by law enforcement, the identity of the killer remained a mystery. So, the Lynns, after unearthing the grim past of the house, decided against making it into a museum. The house has since then been transformed into a hotspot for people with a taste for the supernatural. Inexplicable phenomena have been reported, including eerie laughter, chilling screams, and peculiar fog appearing mysteriously. The Lynns thought, why not reinvent it as a hotel? And just like that, the infamous Villisca Ax Murder House became a hotel, ready for reservations. Martha will hand you the keys, leaving you to explore at your leisure. Hold on tight, the story takes a stranger turn. There have been reports of guests experiencing possession. In the year 2014, an individual named Robert Stephen Lawson Jr. came dangerously close to losing his life after he stabbed himself in the chest during a recreational paranormal investigation. His reasons behind such an act remain a mystery to this day. Intrigued? Well, you can secure your slot online or give them a call. Have pleasant dreams.
And now for another one.
Ever heard of hungry ghosts? Well, in China, they're more than just a tall tale. Picture this. Our ancestors, we're told, linger long after their earthly departure. Each soul split in two, one ascending to the heavens, the other remaining earthbound. Neglect the due rituals,
and now for another one.
Your ancestors may well join the ranks of the so-called hungry ghosts. Hungry ghosts, as the legend goes, are eternally famished due to their families' neglect of their afterlife meals. Rumors tell of their long, thin necks, a direct result of their constant hunger. To appease these spectral beings, families offer meals and prayers. Some even go as far as to burn banknotes, cars, and occasionally the ghosts themselves. Succeed and you're granted a year free from ghostly interference. But not all ghosts are keen on this haunting business. Some prefer a more subtle approach. Take, for instance, the tale of the last bus. The year is 1995. You're aboard the last bus to Fragrant Hills, an eerily empty vehicle with just you, the driver, the conductor, and a granny who's lived through countless seasons. The scene becomes more curious when the driver picks up two men, dressed as though they've stepped straight out of the Ming Dynasty, and they're carrying a third man, a rocker with an impressive mane of hair. Suddenly, the granny accuses you of stealing her wallet. Amid the ensuing drama, the driver asks you to leave the bus. Left on the roadside, you question the granny's sanity, only to be told that the two men had no legs. Ghosts, she claims, not men. The following day, the bus is discovered 4 miles shy of its destination. Inside are the driver, the conductor, and the rocker ghost, all frozen in their final moments. A chilling tale, to be sure. And the moral? When ghosts board your bus, it's best not to cross them, lest you end up on an unplanned ghost tour.
And now for another one.
Hey, have you ever heard of the HMS Eurydice? Man, naming ships can be a real gamble. Take the Titanic or the Mary Celeste, for example, names that now send shivers down your spine. But naming a boat after Eurydice, the Greek gal doomed to spend eternity in the underworld? That's like asking for trouble. So back in 1878, this ship set sail from the West Indies to Portsmouth, England, with 319 souls on board. Now, did any of them know the tragic tale of Orpheus and Eurydice? Who knows? But they sure ended up immortalized in a poem called The Loss of the Eurydice by Gerard Manley Hopkins. As they approach home, a snowstorm hits, and for some mysterious reason, the Eurydice is sailing with gun ports wide open. Suddenly, it vanishes in the blizzard. Most of the crew freezes or gets sucked down with the ship. Even the captain, Marcus Hare, reportedly went down praying. Talk about a chilling scenario, huh? Now here's where things get ghostly. Some claim to have seen the Eurydice sailing those same waters it vanished in. Even a Royal Navy submarine commander, F. Lipscomb, reported swerving to avoid it in the 30s. And in 97, Prince Edward, the Earl of Wessex, says he saw it with 3 sails billowing. So what's the verdict? Are 314 souls still out there with Captain Hare, or is it just sailor yarns? And get this, after the Eurydice, they brought in the HMS Atalanta, named after a protective goddess. But guess what? 2 years later it sinks too, taking 311 lives. And it's never been seen again. Spooky, right? Makes you wonder if ship names are cursed or if the sea's just playing tricks on us, doesn't it?
And now for another one.
Hey, have you ever been to Young and Jackson's bar in Melbourne? It's this awesome spot right across from the main train station. You can't miss it. It's been there forever, and it's famous for this painting called Chloe by a French artist named Jules-Joseph Lefebvre. Picture this, a scandalous nude painting that shook up Melbourne back in 1883, got kicked out of the National Gallery and found a new home at Young and Jackson's. People have been falling in love with Chloe ever since, especially after a few late-night drinks. But she's not the only mysterious lady in the bar. So, imagine you're heading down the stairs, ready to hit the street, and there she is, this beautiful woman standing by a lamppost. Sounds normal, right? But her 19th century get-up gives you the chills. Delicate hands, a face like a china doll, and those downturned eyes that just draw you in. No one knows her name, and some think she might be a trick of the light. But those who've seen her swear she's real. And here's the kicker. When you get close, she looks up, and you see this horrifying open scar from ear to ear, blood everywhere, and then she just disappears. Who is she? The story goes that she might be a murdered prostitute, but the fancy clothes make people wonder. Some connect her to the old Melbourne jail, where Ned Kelly was hanged. Visitors there report all kinds of spooky stuff, but no women were hanged inside. And here's a wild thought. What if she and Chloe, the painting upstairs, have something in common? Chloe's identity was a mystery too. The artist Lefebvre said she tragically died by her own hand. Could these two women be connected in some mysterious way? Maybe they're both waiting for something. Love, revenge, who knows? The thing is, their stories are like unsolved mysteries, and we might never know the real deal. But it sure adds a fascinating twist to the history of Young and Jackson's, don't you think?
And now for another one.
Hey, have you ever heard about the Crescent Hotel and Spa in Arkansas? It's this swanky place, like the go-to spot for the rich and famous looking for a little R&R, but here's the twist. It's not just any hotel. This place is practically the VIP section of the afterlife, known as the most haunted hotel in America. So, the story goes back to 1886 when they were building this joint. There was this Irish stonemason named Michael, and sadly, he took a dive from what's now room 218. Now people chilling in that room have reported some seriously spooky stuff. Doors creaking open, slamming shut, screams from the ceiling, and even ghostly hands reaching out of the bathroom mirror. Creepy, right? But Michael's not flying solo in the ghost department. Fast forward to the 1930s, and the Crescent turns into a sketchy cancer hospital run by a so-called Dr. Norman G. Baker. This guy injected his wealthy patients with his so-called patented cure, and surprise, surprise, most of them didn't make it. Now folks say the souls of these poor patients are still lingering in the hotel's cellar, waiting for some kind of closure. There are even tales of washers and dryers doing their own thing in the middle of the night, and a nurse with a gurney making a cameo whenever she pleases. But it doesn't end there. Employees have seen Christmas trees doing a ghostly waltz down the hallway, and dining rooms magically setting themselves up or turning into a disaster zone. One waitress swears she witnessed a Victorian wedding in a mirror behind her, and a cook says he spotted a little boy in old-school gear frolicking around the kitchen. After that, pots and pans apparently went airborne above Dr. Baker's creepy cellar. Now, about room 221, Guests there have reported a thin, smiling Victorian dude paying them a visit, vanishing the moment they turn around. Some speculate he's part of the ghostly couples twirling around the hotel's main salon, stuck in some eternal ball they attended when the place first opened. People accidentally walking in on this ghostly dance party have described spinning specters, and get this, a man at a table who's been waiting for the return of his dream woman for over a century. Crazy, right? And get this, the Crescent Hotel and Spa is still open for business. Although word on the street is, the last owner kicked the bucket in a mysterious car crash shortly after buying the joint. Talk about keeping the ghostly vibe alive, huh? If you're feeling brave, you can totally book a room and see if you get any unexpected guests. Just don't be surprised if things go bump in the night.
And now for another one.
Alright, buckle up, because I've got this wild story to share about Hanako-san and Kashima Reiko. Picture this. Hanako-san, a girl with a bobbed haircut rocking a little red dress. If you're feeling brave or crazy, you can summon her in the third stall of a girls' school toilet. Go to the third floor, knock 3 times, and call her name 3 times. Hanako-san, Hanako-san, Hanako-san. If she's in the mood, she'll reply with a casual, "Yes, I am." Now, here's where it gets interesting. If you're lucky, all you'll see is a creepy bloody hand. But if luck isn't on your side, that hand might just grab you and pull you straight into the toilet, leading you down to hell. Yeah, seriously. The mystery behind Hanako-san's presence is a head-scratcher. Some say she got murdered or committed suicide in a school toilet. The prevailing tale suggests she was playing hide-and-seek during a World War II air raid, got caught between hiding and seeking cover, and got blown up by a bomb. Talk about bad luck. But wait, there's more. Hanako-san's spirit supposedly haunts all girls' school toilets. Some folks think she just wants to make friends, but that theory goes out the window when there's a 3-headed lizard in the mix, ready to eat anyone invading her privacy. Japanese kids are warned not to mess with Hanako-san. Girls should steer clear of the third stall, and boys better not get too curious. And seriously, don't spend too much time on the toilet. Hanako-san might be stuck in one stall, but who knows what could happen. Now, if that's not enough to keep you out of trouble, there's Kashima Reiko, another toilet ghost. She's a teke-tek, a ghost girl without the lower half of her body, dragging herself around and making a creepy teke-teke sound. Kashima died tragically when her legs got chopped off by a moving train, and now she haunts bathroom stalls asking people where her legs are. Here's the catch. If you don't give her the right answer, she'll get revenge by taking your legs too. Some say she tears them off, others say she cuts them clean off. And get this, she might even carry a scythe just for the occasion, enjoying the gruesome sight of her victims mirroring her own half-body. To get off the hook with Kashima, tell her your legs are on the Meishin Expressway, the place where her own gruesome fate unfolded. Alternatively, you can throw in a curveball and say mask death demon to appease her. Just don't stick around, because she's got a terrible memory and might come back to haunt you again. Remember these phrases, because they might just save your legs. Legend has it that if you hear about Kashima Reiko's tragic tale, you'll meet her in a month. Good luck, my friend, and steer clear of those haunted stalls.
And now for another one. Hey, have you heard about this crazy haunted house in Pontefract? It's like straight out of a horror movie, number 30, East Drive. Apparently, it's got the title of housing one of the most terrifying ghosts in the UK. Yeah, you heard that right. The ghost is like a VIP in the spook world. So, back in 1966, this family moves into the place, right? And boom, all hell breaks loose. Lights playing hide and seek. Plants going airborne, cupboards doing the cha-cha, photos getting slashed. It's like paranormal chaos. The youngest daughter even claims she got dragged upstairs, kicking and screaming, with visible finger marks on her throat. Yikes. They dubbed this ghost the Black Monk, calling it a demonic poltergeist. Newspapers had a field day, and the whole town was buzzing about it. Fast forward 10 years, and this amateur historian decides to play Sherlock. Turns out, there's a Tudor monk from the 16th century who supposedly kicked the bucket around there, part of the Pontefract Priory crew. Mystery solved, right? Well, kinda. Guess who owns the place now? Bill Bungay, a film producer. He bought it after making a horror movie about the house. Talk about taking your work home with you, literally. But here's the kicker. He hasn't spent a night there. He pays the bills but keeps his distance. Smart move, I'd say. His friends, though. I've stayed over and experienced some mind-boggling stuff. Bill's like, yeah, it's profound and intimidating. You'd be nuts to book a night here, but hey, if you're feeling brave or maybe a little crazy, you can book a stay. Not your typical Airbnb, mind you. It's like a paranormal getaway. Some visitors report crazy things, like radiators cranking up by themselves and duvet men appearing on neighbors' beds. Creepy dolls in the front room changing positions. It's like a horror sitcom. Bill, being the responsible haunted house owner, is like, don't come if you're faint-hearted or have a heart condition. Seriously, you'd be nuts. Ghost hunters flock there, and visitors share stories online, like loud footsteps and shaking lights. It's a wild ride, but Bill's got a disclaimer. It's not your average guest house, and he recommends you don't visit, especially if you're a theoretical physicist. Weirdly enough, they get a free pass. So, would you spend a night in the spookiest spot in Pontefract? I'm thinking I'd need a lifetime supply of courage for that. And now for another one.
Picture this. Movie night, you're curled up on the couch, and the plot takes a spooky turn. Ghosts are on the scene. You brace yourself for the big reveal, wondering if it's the century-old lady haunting the house or the old farmer from the stormy barn night, but nope, it's worse. It's a child ghost. Now, child ghosts, extra creepy. England's got its own, like the radiant boy in Lincolnshire, with wide eyes and a glowing face, sometimes on horseback, sometimes just floating around. He's even been spotted at Corby Castle, the digs of Catherine Howard, beheaded by Henry VIII in 1541. Wonder if the radiant boy met a similar fate. But the US? It's the hub for ghost kiddos. Take the ghost boy of Clinton Road in New Jersey. Hangs out under a bridge, some say he fell, others say a car got him. Toss a coin at midnight, and he throws it back. Legend says the river's full of returned coins. Maybe folks were just a second off in their timing. Now, Huntsville, Alabama has dead children's playground in a cemetery surrounded by rocks and trees. Swings move on windless nights, phantom kid laughter echoes, and some claim to see kids on the jungle gym at midnight. Locals dig it, though. When it got bulldozed in 2007, they rebuilt it. Angry, bored ghost kids need a spot outdoors, right? But hold on, if you thought those were chill ghosts, meet the black-eyed children. First spotted in 2016, these creepy tots are not your ideal companions. Pale skin, eyes black as the void, they're usually found hitchhiking, begging, or worse, knocking on your door asking to use your bathroom. They seem harmless, asking for help, but it's all a trick to get into your house or car. In Vermont, a family let in 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Our parents will be here soon, can we come in? They asked. Once inside, the wife noticed their pitch-black eyes. Moments later, the husband's nose bled, the lights blinked out, and the kids vanished. Since then, the couple's cats disappeared. Nosebleeds won't quit, and the man got hit with aggressive skin cancer. Some folks even say these black-eyed children aren't ghosts, but the devil himself. Now that's a plot twist you wouldn't want in your real-life horror story.
And now for another one.
Hold on to your horseshoes because we've got a tale about Will the blacksmith, the dude who managed to outdevil the devil. Picture this. Will, a blacksmith with a penchant for partying and causing chaos, kicks the bucket and heads to heaven. But St. Peter, not quite ready for Will's shenanigans, sends him back to Earth for a second shot at redemption. Well, spoiler alert, it doesn't go well. Will, now worse than ever, gets hit with the ultimate punishment. No, not eternal bad karaoke, he's cursed to wander the earth forever. Now enter the devil, who probably saw Will as his spirit animal. The devil hands Will a lump of coal, thinking it's all cozy and stuff. But Will, being the crafty devil himself, has grander plans. He turns that coal into a torch and decides to play the world's worst tour guide. His bright idea, luring unsuspecting travelers to their doom. So, if you ever spot a weird glow in the distance, run the other way. It's probably Will-o'-the-Wisp, or as he's known in some places, the mischievous jack-o'-lantern or the sly Feu Boulanger. But Will's not just a local legend, he's gone global. In Argentina, he's Luz Mala, haunting folks with ghostly lights. In Brazil, he's a serpent named Boitata, munching on dead creatures' eyeballs. Yep, you read that right. And in Sweden, he's an unbaptized man, just trying to lead travellers to water for a holy dip. Now, some think Will's torch is a treasure map. In Finland, Denmark, and Estonia, they're convinced he's the real-life GPS to buried treasures. Finns even wait for St. John's Day to start their treasure hunt, while Estonians are like, treasure? Let's go now. Irish folks? Well, it's not just rainbows. Follow Will's torch and you might hit the jackpot near the River Lagan in Northern Ireland. But beware, a monk ghost warns it's sacrilegious. So is Will still trying to one-up St. Peter? Maybe. But one thing's for sure, if you see a glowing torch and you're not into eternal wandering or eyeball-eating serpents, best look away.
And now for another one.
Okay, so get this. They say the camera never lies, but we all know it's told a fib or two, especially in the ghost department. You know, like the classic, it's just a smudge on the lens excuse. But back in 2015, Holly, a brave 12-year-old, whips out her iPhone at Hampton Court trying to snap a pic of her cousin Brooke. Nothing weird, right? Well, not until they check the photos. One of them has this tall, blue-dressed woman with flowing brown hair, chilling behind Brooke. No Photoshop, no shenanigans, just ghostly photobombing. Holly's all like, I was totally freaked out, and who can blame her? The experts are scratching their heads, throwing their hands up in confusion. No one knows what's up with this unexpected stately lady in blue. Turns out she might be the notorious Grey Lady, Dame Sybil Penn, haunting Hampton Court since way back in 1562. Legend has it, she nursed Queen Elizabeth I through smallpox and now she's still pulling pranks. But hey, Hampton Court's like a ghost party central. Jane Seymour's haunting her post-birth stomping grounds, and Catherine Howard's doing her beheaded marathon, screaming for mercy like it's an Olympic sport. And not to burst your bubble, but not everyone's lucky enough to snap a full-size ghost. Paranormal investigators are using film to track ghost orbs. Basically, little balls of light you can't see with your eyes, but catch on camera. These orbs are like the rainbow of the afterlife. White ones might mean a ghost is stuck in the wrong plane. Oops, wrong stop. Red and orange orbs, protective ghosts, giving off warm vibes. Blue orbs, maybe they're packing healing powers, and green ones, well, those might be spirits who never did the earthly gig, like ghost infants or something. But here's the kicker: black orbs. Run! Seriously, evil vibes live in those shadowy suckers. You won't even see them coming, but anger one, and who knows what ghostly mischief they'll unleash in your room right now. So sleep tight and don't piss off any invisible orbs.
Enjoying the content? Subscribe for more, share with your friends, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos.
All right, buckle up for this wild tale of Madison and her imaginary entourage. So picture this. Kelly's daughter Madison starts her own exclusive club of imaginary pals. We're talking Dana and Steve, Froger and Kinger, and even a dynamic duo named Boyfriend and Girlfriend, Social Butterfly, right? To fly. But wait, it gets better. Suddenly in strolls Kellum, the imaginary friend who takes the cake. Why? Well, he's not just any imaginary friend. Oh no, Madison's got herself a bearded, 40s-something outside clothes wearing gentleman on her hands. I mean, at that point I'd be more worried about fashion faux pas than imaginary friends, but Kelly understandably starts raising an eyebrow. Now Madison's chatting it up with Kellum, playing with Play-Doh and building towers. All seems well until the night terror train rolls in. Kellum apparently is the ultimate playtime enthusiast, going full-on DJ Khaled with the all I do is play, 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 no matter what. Madison's not having it, she's trying to sleep, and Kellum's turning into a nocturnal playtime menace. Then plot twist. Madison discovers that Kellum isn't just a playful dude, he's evolving. His face is going grunge, he's on a sudden diet, and his eyes are channeling some serious zombie vibes. Madison, being the discerning toddler she is, decides she's done with this imaginary makeover. Now cue the horror movie moment. Kelly wakes up to Madison screaming, curtains doing the cha-cha in a closed window scenario, and Kelly sprinting out of there like she's in a marathon for the living. Enter the godly grandpa, armed with anointing oil and the power to banish imaginary friends. 2 hours later, spoiler alert, Kellum's out of there. Fast forward to Kelly's detective work, uncovering a Callum Beasley and his tragic tale of a daughter who bit the dust at 3. Coincidence, maybe? Spooky? Definitely. So Madison bids farewell to her imaginary crew and life goes back to normal. Lesson learned. Imaginary friends are cool, but if they start redecorating your room or demanding a midnight play date, it's time to call in the big guns, preferably armed with anointing oil. After all, having an imaginary friend is not so strange, but a haunted playdate. Now that's a story to tell at sleepovers.
Hold tight for the next one. Hey, gather around. I've got a couple of bone-chilling tales for you, straight from the haunted corridors of York Castle Museum. Picture this. Zoe and her crew decide to spice up their holiday with a visit to this supposedly haunted museum. You know, just casual ghost hunting with the family. They're snapping away, capturing memories left and right. Fast forward to when they're back home, going through the pics for a good laugh. Everything seems normal until one of their team members points out something seriously strange. In the background of one photo, there's this ghostly apparition that looks like a child doll, chilling in the back of an old car. They're all like, WTAF, checked every other pic, watched the videos they took, nada, just this one eerie photo with a ghostly surprise. Can you imagine stumbling upon that? Now, let's talk about Ryan and Nicole, a couple from Bradford, hitting up the same museum. Touristy vibes, right? They're back home, scrolling through their pics, and boom, Ryan's face goes pale. In one shot from the museum's prison exhibit, there's this ghostly figure, a little boy, casually strolling to the right or maybe straight into the wall. Boots, breeches, the whole spooky deal. But here's the kicker. They swear up and down they didn't see this ghostly kid during their visit. Ryan's scratching his head, saying, I thought it was a shadow, but there was nobody peeping around the corner. And there was nothing on the floor either. Now, that's the kind of stuff that makes you rethink your museum adventures, isn't it? Ghostly surprises and shadowy mysteries lurking in the corners of a supposedly innocent day out. York Castle Museum sure knows how to keep things interesting. York Castle, a Somer fortress, housed a multitude of political and religious dissenters throughout history. Among its unfortunate inhabitants were Knights Templar, Catholics who resisted the Reformation, Jacobite supporters of Bonnie Prince Charlie, as well as the Luddites, Peterloo protesters, and 19th century Chattists, to mention just a few. The castle's walls bear witness to a dark tapestry of defiance and resistance across various periods in history. Hold tight for the next one.
Hey, you won't believe this crazy story I heard about this haunted house in Hawaii back in 1941. So, the police got this frantic call from a woman screaming, "She's trying to kill my children." I know, intense, right? Anyway, the cops rush over, and when they get there, they find the family, mom, 3 daughters, and a son, being tossed around and levitated. And get this, whatever was doing it to them was totally invisible. Spooky, right? But here's the kicker. It wasn't a one-time thing. Over the years, there were more incidents. A kid smelled a ghost. Weird, I know. And it got so mad it attacked the family and even the police. Fast forward 30 years, and 3 girls staying in the same house heard strange noises. When the cops show up, one of the girls starts fighting off something. The cop swears a strong hand, definitely not a teenage girl's, grabs him and twists his arm. The girl ends up barely alive, grabbing her throat. Creepy, huh? Now the locals swear it's this shape-shifting spirit from Japan called the kasha. It's like a troll or a cat demon with a burning tail. Apparently it snatches up the corpses of the not yet buried sinners and drags them to hell. Others say it just feeds on corpses, sinners or not. Sounds like a real nightmare, huh? But here's the twist. The house had a dark history even before the 1941 incident. The previous family had a messed up situation where the dad killed the wife, son, and daughter. The daughter's body was never found. So, maybe the kasha came looking for her. Crazy, right? They were so freaked out by all these attacks that in 2016 they tore the house down and did some rituals to kick the kasha out. But guess what? The weird happenings didn't stop. People in the new condo built on that spot are still reporting strange stuff. Is the kasha still on the hunt for that missing daughter? Who knows? Ghost, demon, cat, troll. Does it really matter when you've got a calloused hand grabbing your arm and twisting it? Spooky stuff, man.
Hold tight for the next one.
Hey, you won't believe this crazy story about the oldest drawing of a ghost. Picture this. There's this small tablet fits right in your hand. At first, you'd think it's just covered in ancient writing, But if you take a closer look, there are two carved figures on it. One is your regular dude and the other, wait for it, looks like a ghost. So, back in 2021, the British Museum's Middle Eastern department had their hands on this 500-year-old stone tablet from Babylon. The curator dude was all intrigued when he noticed that the second figure, though still kinda human-like, had that ghostly vibe. Spooky, right? And here's the kicker. The writing on the tablet wasn't some ancient shopping list. It was actually a set of instructions on how to kick ghosts to the curb. Step 1. Craft 2 figurines, 1 guy, 1 gal. Oh, and don't forget to brew some beer. Now, they weren't clear if the beer was part of the exorcism or just a way to calm your nerves for what could be a seriously long night. After you've got your little beer buddies, wait until sunrise. Then you gotta chant some ritual words calling out to the god Shamash. But they warn you, don't chug too much of that beer before talking to Shamash. He's apparently the guy responsible for escorting ghosts down to the underworld. The plan was that Shamash would snag the ghost in the right gendered figurine, and off they'd go into the afterlife. There's a broken off section in the tablet at this point, but I bet it says something like, finish the beer, priorities, right? Now, here's the kicker. The more things change, the more they stay the same. The final line on the tablet is like a spooky message from the past, reaching out 3,500 years to anyone scared of ghosts. It simply says, don't look behind you. Classic ghost story move, even back in the day. Can you believe it?
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, gather round, my friend, and let me spin you a yarn about the Whistler, the musical menace of Venezuela and Colombia. It begins with the sound of whistling. It is always the same tune, running through C, D, E, F, and then lowering to G, A, and B in that order. If you hear it nearby, then you are safe. It is only when it is in the distance that you can be sure it is El Silban, the whistler, who is coming for you. Picture this. It all kicks off with a whistle, a jaunty little tune meandering through the musical alphabet like it's lost in a grocery store. But here's the kicker: if that melody's near, you're golden. If it's echoing in the distance, well, buckle up, because El Silban, the whistler, is on his way, and he's got a bone to pick. Now, why is this lanky straw hat wearing dude with chunks of flesh hanging off him so miffed? Oh, there are theories, my friend. One says he's a farmer's son turned avenger, offing his old man for playing the field, only to get tortured and offed by grandpa. Another yarn paints him as a spoiled brat who served up his father's guts to his mom because daddy didn't nail the dinner menu. She, in turn, cursed him to eternal wanderlust. Tough crowd, right? Watch out, party animals and Casanovas, El Silban's got your number. He's the regular nightmare fuel in Los Llanos, where the Orinoco River dries up faster than a bottle of tequila at a college party. He's on a mission tearing womanizers to shreds and sipping on the spirits from drunkards' navels as they meet their maker. But hold up, it's not just the party boys on his hit list. El Silban's got a softer side. He likes family time. Picture this: he pops by, plops down in your doorway, and starts counting his bones. Now, here's the kicker: if you don't give him your undivided attention, he's got a family-size curse package with your name on it. No pressure, right? Legend has it, you might fend him off with a chili, no kidding, a chili that jogs his memory about his misdeeds, or a whip that reminds him of the good old punishment days. Some folks even swear by a dog's bark, the only thing on this planet that makes the whistler's knees shake. Oh, and there's a rumor that a well-timed Lord's Prayer could send him packing, but the catch is, nobody's lived to tell the tale. So, what if you find yourself toe-to-toe with the whistler? Brace yourself, because if he claims you, your bones join his collection, tossed into a sack along with dear old Dad's. You'll be cursed to wander the earth like a really, really disgruntled ghost, forever chasing the elusive maestro of melodies. Word on the street is that the planes are quieter lately. Maybe El Silban's pulling some overtime. So play it safe, keep your wits about you, steer clear of the bottle, and stick to one special someone. After all, who needs a whistling straw hat wearing companion haunting your nights? Cheers to bone-chilling bedtime stories, my friend.
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, gather round for the ghostly gossip of the century. Ballygally Castle's got a resident spectre, and she's not your typical boogeyman. Meet Lady Isabel Shaw, the friendliest ghost this side of, well, Casper the Friendly Ghost. Move over, scary spirits, we've got a warm and fuzzy apparition in the building. Picture this. You wake up in Ballygally Castle, expecting the usual haunted mansion vibes, and instead, you're hit with a welcoming green mist. It's like Lady Isabel is throwing a spectral party, and everyone's invited. She's either strolling the corridors or conjuring up this cozy, ghostly fog. Who knew haunting could be so heartwarming? Now, Lady Isabel's origin story is a real drama fest. Lord Shaw, her less-than-charming hubby, loses his cool because she didn't pop out a mini-me for him. So what does he do? Locks her up in the castle like some medieval timeout. Classic move, Lord Shaw, classic move. In one version, she takes a tumble trying to escape, and in another, he goes full-on villain and throws her off the tower. The drama, I tell you. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of becoming a grumpy ghost with a vengeance, Lady Isabel decides to be the cheeriest spectre in town. Maybe she's the queen of resilience, shrugging off being tossed off a tower like it's just a Tuesday tumble. And get this, Lord Shaw mysteriously pulls a vanishing act shortly after Lady Isabel becomes a full-time ghost. Coincidence? Or did he accidentally stumble into the afterlife? All's well that ends mysteriously, right? Lady Isabel, you're giving ghosting a whole new meaning.
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, buckle up, because I've got a ghost story that will make your jaw drop and your funny bone tickle. We're not talking about some haunted castle with creaky doors and flickering candles. No, this paranormal party went down at number 63, Wycliffe Road in Battersea, South London, England. So, the Hitchings family moves in back in 1956. Dad's a train driver, Mum's a former office clerk cruising in a wheelchair, and their daughter Shirley is just your typical 15-year-old, dealing with algebra and whatnot. Now, this whole poltergeist drama starts innocently enough with a mysterious key on Shirley's pillow. Dad Wally goes Sherlock Holmes on it, trying every lock in the house, but no luck. He puts it on the mantelpiece, probably thinking it's the ghost of misplaced keys past. Fast forward to 2 a.m. and the whole family wakes up to a symphony of banging, loud enough to make the neighbours complain. The police and the fire brigade play Ghostbusters but find zilch, and oh, the key disappeared too. Surprise. Surprise. Soon, it turns into a paranormal circus. Objects flying around like they're auditioning for a ghostly Cirque du Soleil. Slippers taking a stroll on their own, and the family piano deciding to drop a spontaneous solo. It's like the supernatural version of a chaotic family reunion. But wait, it gets better. One night, Shirley's sheets decide they need some fresh air, and the family ends up in a tug-of-war over a teenage girl with a rebellious bed. Then, just for kicks, Shirley starts levitating inches above her bed. Hogwarts acceptance letter lost in the mail, perhaps? By February, the whole country is buzzing about 63 Wycliffe Road, and in steps our hero, the ghost hunter Harold Chibbett. He's like the paranormal Sherlock, only with a weirder name. Chibb suggests an exorcism for Shirley, but the police crash the party, thinking he's dabbling in black magic. In Parliament, the local MP is basically saying, "Hey police, leave those ghosts alone." Now enter the star of the show, the ghost named Donald. Yeah, like Donald Duck, because this spirit apparently had a temper matching a cranky cartoon duck. Chibb, the ghost whisperer, decides to communicate with Donald using letter cards. Classic Ouija board move, right? Donald claims to be French and scared, throwing messages like "Shirley, I come" into the mix. He even starts making demands, telling Shirley how to style her hair and threatening to go all fiery if she doesn't comply. Allegedly, Donald continues to be the ultimate ghost stalker, even after Shirley makes a run for it.
Hold tight for the next one.
Hey there, let me share this wild ghost story from lockdown with you. You know how dogs were all happy with their humans around all the time? Well, turns out ghosts had their own way of dealing with it, and it's a blend of creepy and, believe it or not, a bit heartbreaking. Lockdown had everyone on edge, right? Paranormal researchers noticed a spike in people reporting weird stuff in their homes. Objects moving around inexplicably, uncanny voices out of nowhere, and gadgets acting like they have a mind of their own. Classic ghost drama. Now imagine being cooped up with a ghost named Matthew. This couple in Nashville had to endure his presence, and let me tell you, Matthew wasn't winning any ghost popularity contests. Every night he'd stomp up and down the stairs, louder than a family cat voicing its displeasure over its lost territory. And the shower? The poor couple got hit with icy water because Matthew thought it'd be funny to mess with the hot water switch, not exactly the ghostly conduct you'd call civil, right? But here's the heartwarming twist. While Matthew was causing chaos, there are apparently helpful ghosts out there too. In Queens, this couple was having a nightly tug-of-war over a shared blanket. Classic relationship stuff, right? Then one night the husband Carrie felt the blanket move, but it wasn't his wife Alexandra, it was being neatly straightened out. He thanked her, but she was in the bathroom. Talk about a plot twist. A few weeks later, Carrie spots a glowy Asian woman in green scrubs in the kitchen. She disappears when the light comes on. Now, the heartbreaking part is, could this spectral figure be the one making their nights peaceful? Maybe she's the helpful blanket straightener? It's almost like they found a spectral guardian angel in the midst of all the lockdown madness. Makes you wonder about the softer side of ghosts, doesn't it?
Hold tight for the next one.
Picture this grim tale, my friend, in the shadows of Romberg Castle, a haunting relic overlooking the river Vltava in Bohemia, Czech Republic. This fortress, rooted in the chilling history of the Romberg family, echoes with the sorrowful whispers of Perchta, the infamous White Lady of Bohemia. Back in 1253, the Romberg clan thrived within these ancient walls. Fast forward to 1449, and Oldrich II, the mighty king of the family, wove a sinister web for his daughter Perchta. He married her off to Jan of Liechtenstein, a man whose cruelty knew no bounds. Perchta's letters pleading for escape fell on deaf ears, and her life became a relentless nightmare. Abandoned by her kin and tormented by her husband, Perchta's world crumbled. Her brothers perished, as did her children, leaving her to bury her own blood. Even on his deathbed, Jan sought forgiveness, but she, fueled by bitterness, cursed him. Death was her only refuge, or so she hoped. When Perchta departed in 1476, legend has it her spirit lingered, a tormented specter haunting Romberg Castle. The White Lady emerged bearing white or black gloves foretelling joy or disaster for her cursed kin. The gloves turned black more often, sealing the Romberg fate in darkness. Yet, amidst her vengeful haunting, Perchta showed a flicker of benevolence. When Peter Vock, the last Romberg, teetered on the edge of death as an infant, the White Lady allegedly intervened. She nursed him back to health, scolding the negligent nurse, and vanished into the shadows. Later, in 1611, Peter melted down the family treasure to save Bohemia, guided by the spectral lady with white gloves. Some claim this was Perchta's final act before departing with the last Romberg. Others believe her spectral presence still lurks in the castle's cold corridors. A macabre theory even suggests she is the winter goddess Perchta, rewarding or punishing children with silver or stone-filled entrails. On Perchta's portrait, etched in the enigmatic Enochian script, a riddle remains unsolved. Whispers echo that deciphering it would grant Perchta freedom, yet the chilling truth prevails. No one has unraveled the cryptic message, leaving the White Lady of Bohemia imprisoned in her eternal torment.
Hold tight for the next one.
Picture this: ancient Rome, a time of toga-wearing philosophers, haunted houses, and dirt-cheap real estate. It all starts with the legendary Pliny the Younger, who had a penchant for sharing ghost stories in his letters. Ghosts in Roman times weren't just your run-of-the-mill spirits. They were the OG haunters, moaning and rattling chains like it was a supernatural jam session. Now there's this house, said to be haunted, up for grabs. Potential buyers kept getting spooked away faster than you can say, "Beware of ghosts." Enter Athenodorus, the great philosopher with a keen eye for a deal. He's got his sights set on this haunted crib, but there's a catch, a ridiculously low price. Suspicious? You bet. Athenodorus, not one to be scared off by a little ghostly activity, decides to spend a night in the haunted abode, As the night unfolds, he hears the familiar sound of chains rattling, the ghostly playlist of the afterlife. Instead of bolting for the door, Athenodorus does the unthinkable. He follows the sound. Lo and behold, he encounters an old man with a beard, shackled and burdened by chains, standing next to a pile of bones. Quick on the philosophical uptake, Athenodorus deduces that these bones are the earthly remnants of the chain-clad geezer. Without skipping a beat, he arranges for a proper burial, and just like that, the ghost issue is laid to rest. And what does Athenodorus get in return? A house at a price so low it's practically otherworldly. But hold on, the tale doesn't end there. Fast forward to Athenodorus settling into his new digs. Picture this, he's there, quill in hand, minding his own business, when the ghost himself decides to make a grand appearance. Chains rattling, moaning in agony, the full ghostly orchestra is in session. Athenodorus, not one to let spectral interruptions ruin his writing flow, ignores the ghostly commotion. The spectre, undeterred, decides to get Athenodorus's attention by rattling those chains inches from his face. Talk about an up-close and personal haunting. Our fearless philosopher, though, is not easily swayed. He coolly signals to the ghost to wait, as if saying, "Hold on, I'm in the middle of something here." The ghost, growing impatient, rattles its chains even more insistently, practically shouting, "Follow me, dude!" Athenodorus, the epitome of nonchalant bravery, stands up, picks up his lamp because who wants to ghost hunt in the dark, and casually strolls after the persistent spectre. And that, my friend, is how Athenodorus not only snagged the deal of a lifetime, but also turned a haunting into the ultimate comedy in the real estate market of ancient Rome. Talk about a ghost with no negotiation skills.
Enjoying the content? Subscribe for more, share with your friends, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos.
In the shadowed halls of Featherstone Castle, a tale unfolds like a chilling whisper from the past. Abigail Featherstonehoff, a reluctant bride, walked the cold stone aisle with a heart tangled in regret. The vows she uttered were not for the man before her, but for another. Ridley, a local boy who ignited the flames of her true passion. 17th century England, where the iron grip of familial arrangements left no room for choice. Baron Featherstonehoff, her father, orchestrated the union, binding Abigail to a local duke in unholy matrimony. The ceremony took place on a bright and deceptive day, concealing the darkness that would soon engulf Featherstone Castle. A grand banquet awaited the returning hunting party, but as daylight succumbed to the claws of night, the revelry turned to unease. The Baron, anxious and enraged, dispatched a search party into the abyss of his vast grounds. The hours stretched, and the cold winds whispered tales of impending doom. Horses returned, but not with the triumphant echoes of a successful hunt. Instead, they carried the anguished cries of the departed. Pinken Clough, a densely wooded realm, became the stage for a tragic confrontation. Ridley, consumed by love and despair, led a merciless ambush against the bridal entourage. In the brutal dance of steel, Ridley's love, Abigail, became an unwitting sacrifice. A sword, unsheathed in fury, pierced her, severing the thread of her mortal existence. Ridley, the last man standing, succumbed to the weight of his actions, ending his own tortured existence. The returning hunting party, no longer of the living, manifested as tortured apparitions. Wounds, missing limbs, and severed heads bore witness to the macabre tale that unfolded that fateful night. Abigail, with her belly torn open by her husband's blade, stood as a haunting reminder of the consequences of denying true love. Every 17th of January, their spectral presence echoed through the castle, a relentless reminder of the folly that had transpired. The Baron, deaf to the pleas of his daughter, suffered the torment of their wails until his own heart succumbed to the weight of his arrogance. But the horror did not end there. Ravenstone, near Pinken Clough, cradled the blood of Ridley as he breathed his last. Ravens, harbingers of death, feasted on the carrion and drank from the cursed stone. On every 17th of January, the ominous gathering of ravens would repeat, a dark communion with Ridley's blood, as they called for his lost love to join him in the afterlife. Perhaps, in a realm beyond ours, Abigail and Ridley now share an eternal feast, and the ghastly echoes that reverberate through Featherstone Castle are the twisted remnants of a love that death could not sever.
Hold tight for the next one. Alright, Buckle up for this wild ride because this story is a roller coaster of ghostly shenanigans. So, legend has it, in some mysterious place, could be Arkansas, Aberdeen, or even in your backyard, who really knows? A dad was just trying to enjoy some quality TV time. Now, his kid, the 6-year-old Ghostbuster in training, starts freaking out every night, yelling, "Daddy, there's a ghost. I mean, come on, ghosts, monsters, it's like a horror movie marathon in a house." So, Dad, trying to catch up on his shows, throws a casual quiet at his kid and returns to the television. But, oh no, the little ghost spotter won't be silenced. Again, "Daddy, there's a ghost. Daddy, there's a ghost." Dad's blood pressure is rising faster than a cat video's view count on the internet. Finally, Dad decides he's had enough and storms into the room. Lo and behold, the kid's got the sheets pulled up over her head, still hollering, "Daddy, there's a ghost. Daddy, there's a ghost." Dad, thinking he's Sherlock Holmes, goes, "All right, where's this ghost?" And the kid drops the bomb. "Under the bed, Daddy, under the bed." So, being the brave dad he is, he peeks under the bed, and what does he find? His daughter. Yeah, his own flesh and blood is hiding down there, looking at she's like she's seen a ghost. But wait for it, the kid hits him with, "Daddy, Daddy, there's a ghost on top of the bed." Cue the laugh track. Turns out, the real ghost was a master of hide and seek, pulling off a bedsheet ghost trick. Classic move, kid, classic move. And that, my friend, is how you turn a spooky story into a comedy goldmine. Hold tight for the next one.
Hey, buckle up because I've got a bone-chilling tale about ghouls. You know, those creepy beings that go bump in the night, ghosts, phantoms, poltergeists, spirits, wraiths. Pick your spooky synonym. So ghouls, they're not your average run-of-the-mill ghosts. The name itself comes from the Arabic word ghul, meaning to seize. And boy, do these creatures take the whole seizing thing seriously. They're not just into haunting, they're also big on devouring. According to Arabic folklore, ghouls love to hang out in cemeteries, feasting on both corpses and mourners. But wait, there's more. They've got a thing for desert areas too, where they lure unsuspecting victims into the wild and make a meal out of them. Kids seem to be their favorite dish, chilling, right? What's even more unnerving is that these ghouls can shapeshift. Imagine this. 1 minute they're chowing down on someone, and the next, they're taking on the form of their victim to snack on their friends and family. So, if your buddy wanders off in the desert and doesn't show up for a while, you might want to think twice before throwing a welcome back party. Just saying. But hold on, it gets spookier. There's this legendary ghoul, Mother Ghoul. She's like the VIP of the ghoul world, showing up in one too many horror stories to be just a figment of imagination. Rumor has it she's out to get men, tempting them, snatching them up, and poof, they're gone. So, if a guy in an Arab country mysteriously vanishes, chances are he fell into Mother Ghoul's clutches. And here's the kicker. Even if he comes back, you might want to play it safe. Don't open that door until you're absolutely certain it's not Mother Ghoul in disguise, hungry for another round of victims. Spooky, right? Keep an eye out for those desert wanderers.
Hold tight for the next one.
Hey, buckle up for the craziest story ever. We're diving into the wild ride of William and Elizabeth Wilson, the dynamic duo of drama. So Will races into Hangman's Lot, waving a pardon like it's a winning lottery ticket. But hold your horses, it's too late. Sis Elizabeth already did the necktie tango. And get this, it's his second horse because the first one pulled a Houdini in the icy Squealkill River. Thanks, ferryman, for the aquatic adventure. Poor Will's sis is hanging like a sad piñata and he's all, a pardon? But let's not kid ourselves. The tragic tale of the Wilson siblings is just getting started. Flashback to 1768, Will's 16, an apprentice stonecutter, and bails to Lancaster, leaving Liz behind. She takes a detour to a Philly tavern, has a fling, and voila, pregnant with twins. Talk about a double feature. Fast forward to 1774, Liz leaves to confront the baby daddy, and when she returns the twins are MIA, found him a week later, buried in the woods. Cue the murder charges, trial, and a hanging date. Drama level, soap opera. Liz swears she's innocent, blaming the baby daddy. Will, the hero, rushes back from Lancaster trying to prove her innocence. Benjamin Franklin, yes, that Franklin sets the execution date. Will falls sick, loses track of time, and oops, he's late to the party. But wait, Franklin's deputy Charles Biddle hands him a note saying, "Hold up, don't hang Will just yet." Will races back on his horse, but guess what? The ferryman drama strikes again. Seriously, these ferry guys are the real villains here. Will's now a wreck, throws himself in the mud, holding Liz, and bam,
He's a gibberish-speaking, white-haired mess. He roams the wild west of Pennsylvania, becomes the Pennsylvania hermit, caves up with a Bible and some pots, and locals can't stop staring at him. Talk about a fashion statement with that Gandalf beard. In 1821, Will kicks the bucket, but hold your ghost hunting gear. Now he's haunting Hangman's Lot yelling, "Pardon, pardon!" Oh, and a sighting supposedly predicts doom and someone wrongly accused. Spooky, right? But there's more. Some folks swear they've seen him in his cave, playing ghostly host to Liz and the twins. Talk about a supernatural family reunion. And there you have it, my friend, the Netflix-worthy saga of the Wilsons, where drama and ghosts go hand in spectral hand. Life's crazier than fiction, huh?
Hold tight for the next one.
So, the Myrtles Plantation, built in 1796 by General David Bradford, wasn't your typical B&B. General Bradford was basically on the lam from the US government after some whiskey rebellion drama. Fast forward through a carousel of owners, each throwing in their 2 cents of unique flair to the place, until the 1950s when the Myrtles decided to join the paranormal party. Now let's talk about Chloe, the star of the Ghostly Show. Rumor has it she did a not-so-friendly favor for the plantation owner's wife and kids in the 1800s, involving a dash of poison. Chloe, poor soul, got caught, hanged, and now she's the VIP ghost of the Myrtles. Guests and staff have sworn they've seen her ghost doing a midnight stroll on the grounds. Some even claim she's got a habit of bedside haunting, like, who needs an alarm clock when Chloe's standing at the foot of your bed, right? And then, there's the Whistling Ghost, a former slave-turned-spirit who met an untimely end on the plantation. Guests have reported a haunting melody echoing through the halls, even when there's nobody there. Cue the eerie whistling soundtrack. Now, the Myrtles isn't just about A-list ghosts. It's got a whole menu of paranormal incidents. Ghostly figures popping up, weird noises that make your hair stand on end, and cold spots that'll give you goosebumps. Some brave souls even claim they've been touched or grabbed by invisible hands. Talk about a hands-on haunting experience. But hold your spectral horses, despite all the spooky shenanigans. The Myrtles Plantation isn't hurting for visitors. It's a hot tourist spot, offering guided ghost tours that make you question your life choices, and historical tours to balance out the eerie vibes with some good old plantation history. And the rooms? Luxurious, my friend. Each one a time-traveling capsule reflecting the plantation's rich past. Whether you're a ghost skeptic or a true believer, the Myrtles is undeniably fascinating. Gorgeous architecture, stunning gardens, and a history as rich as a chocolate fondue fountain. No wonder it's Louisiana's hottest haunt. So, if you're up for an adventure filled with history, luxury, and maybe a ghostly encounter or two, pack your bags and book a room at the Myrtles Plantation. Just make sure to bring your Ghostbuster gear. You might need it.
Hold tight for the next one.
So picture this, the Grand Pittock Mansion, standing tall amidst the lush greenery, like the fanciest house party thrown by Mother Nature herself. Now this place wasn't just some run-of-the-mill abode, it was Henry Pittock's way of saying, I'm an Oregonian publisher and I need a house that screams, look at me, I'm fancy. Back in 1914, construction kicked off, and let me tell you, it was a process slower than a tortoise on a leisurely stroll. Blocks of Tonino sandstone were hand-picked by a San Francisco architect, Edward Fulks, who probably had a subscription to Architectural Digest, because this mansion was like an art piece. It had all the gizmos and gadgets of the Time Central vacuum system, intercoms, fancy lighting, an elevator, and a fridge that could probably store a lifetime supply of ice cream. Now enter Georgiana, Henry's wife, who loved nothing more than being a socialite and tending to her rose gardens. She was the queen bee of Portland's upper class, creating the Rose Society and birthing the famous Rose Festival. Sadly, the duo had to part ways with their mansion in 1958 due to upkeep struggles, and things went south when the Columbus Day storm of '62 hit, almost turning the mansion into a bunch of fancy toothpicks. But fear not. The community rallied, raised $75,000 in the blink of an eye, and saved the day. The Pittock Mansion became a historic site, and Portlanders, being the eco-warriors they are, turned it into a prime spot for birdwatching, probably making it the only haunted house where the ghosts are avid birdwatchers. Now, Hollywood couldn't resist the allure of the Pittock Mansion. It starred in '77's First Love and a slasher flick called Unhinged in '82. You'd think being a movie star would be enough, but no, the mansion had its share of scandal too. Henry got caught up in a political mess in 1911, accused of waterline shenanigans. A feud with Will Daly ensued, making Pittock the OG of political drama. Fast forward to the afterlife, and the Pittock mansion is buzzing with ghostly gossip. Visitors report more spookiness than a Halloween party at a graveyard. Apparently, the upper rooms are the paranormal party zone, with the unmistakable scent of roses wafting through the air. Georgiana, the green-thumbed ghost, is probably still fussing over her blooms. But it's not just floral fragrances. There's a ghostly groundskeeper doing his spectral duties, and the sound of shovels hitting dirt echoes through the northern part of the mansion. Maybe he's a die-hard employee even in the afterlife, refusing to clock out. Now, if you're into a bit of furniture feng shui, you're in for a treat. Reports say the Pittocks might be doing some post-mortem redecorating. I mean, who wouldn't want to rearrange their furniture in the afterlife? And last but not least, there's a ghostly lady in a gown making fashion statements, appearing and disappearing like a ghostly runway model. One poor staff member got a surprise light show when all the lights in the mansion decided bedtime could wait. So there you have it, my friend, the Pittock Mansion, where history, hauntings, and a touch of Hollywood combine for a tale that's stranger than fiction and funnier than a ghost telling knock-knock jokes.
Hold tight for the next one.
Alright, buckle up for this spooky yet oddly hilarious tale from the archives of the paranormal. So, imagine my buddy here, sharing this wild family story with a side of chills and giggles. So, let's spill the beans. Yo, my mom, back in her teenage days, lived on a street straight out of a ghost story. I'm talking weird stuff happening left and right. Now, a few houses down from my mom's crib was this family dealing with some supernatural shenanigans. One night, tragedy struck when the daughter kicked the bucket from an aneurysm after a wicked headache. Fast forward to the funeral, and the grieving family needed a break, so they bailed to clear their heads. Enter my uncle, the designated pet sitter, with my mom and dad in tow. Mom heard there was a grand piano in the haunted mansion, and she was all about that musical life. Dad, on the other hand, was in vet school mode. Now, they stroll into the eerie house, with my uncle and Pops heading to the basement for a furry creature check, and my mom making a beeline for the piano. She's tickling the ivories, having a grand old time when suddenly she feels something brushing against her ankles. First thought, stealthy cat on the loose, but no, she looks down and there's nada. So she resumes her piano serenade, and bam, the mysterious ankle grabber is back, this time with a tight grip. She's not about to play footsie with Casper, though. Panicked, she bolts to the basement, hollers for my uncle and dad, and plays the waiting game outside. My uncle, being the savvy dude he is, sees my mom's freaked out face and demands the scoop. She spills the beans about the invisible ankle assailant, and you won't believe what he says. Turns out, the deceased daughter used to play a game with her Pops. When he jammed on the piano, she'd crawl underneath, grab his ankles, and turn it into some ghostly foot pedal action. Now, if that isn't a supernatural game of peekaboo, I don't know what is. Life lesson. Never trust a grand piano in a haunted house unless you're ready for a spectral duet with an invisible pianist.
Hold tight for the next one.
Okay, buckle up, because I've got a tale that'll make your spine tingle and your laughter bubble up. So there's this ambulance company, right? And they've got a ride that's basically the Scooby-Doo mystery machine of ambulances, Rig 12, cue the creepy music. Now there's this Reddit legend named Zerbo who used to roll with this haunted ambulance crew. Picture this, it's 3 a.m. They're in the middle of nowhere and it's darker than a black cat in a coal mine. Zerbo and their partner are chilling, catching some Z's. I mean, who wouldn't be napping in the dead of night, right? Suddenly Zerbo wakes up to a muffled voice, and they're thinking it's just their partner chatting away in dreamland. So, they pull the classic move of telling their partner to keep it down and shut their eyes. But plot twist, a dude's voice pipes up with, "Oh my God, am I dying?" Cue the dramatic gasps. Now imagine the scene, two EMTs wide-eyed staring into the abyss of the patient compartment. They probably looked at each other like, "Did you hear that?" But it gets better. A few seconds of heavy breathing follow, and Zerbo and their partner are on high alert, ready for a ghostly showdown. Then there's this ominous click of an oxygen bottle regulator, and a hiss like something's leaking. Lights on, panic mode activated. They bolt out of the rig faster than you can say Ghostbusters. I bet they were thinking some ghostly transient hitched a ride, right? So they swing open the back doors, Scooby-Doo style, but nope, nada, zilch ghost town.
Hold tight for the next one.
Lord of the Phantom and Poltergeists, Andrew Lloyd Webber's London mansion gets a visit from the ghostly choir. Oh, you won't believe what Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber spilled the beans on recently. So, picture this. The musical maestro himself, the genius behind Phantom of the Opera, claims he had a ghostly roommate in his London digs. Not just any ghost, mind you, a poltergeist. Yeah, like the mischievous spirit that likes to play pranks. So, here's the scoop. Lord Lloyd Webber spilled the theatrical tea about how this cheeky poltergeist of his would sneakily move theatre scripts around, like some kind of ghostly intern on a caffeine high. Imagine finding your Phantom of the Opera sheet music neatly stacked in some random, hidden room. Cue the spooky music. Now, hold on to your seat. Lord Lloyd Webber didn't just roll with the ghostly shenanigans. Oh no, he took action. When the script-munching spirit antics got too much, he pulled a classic move and dialed up a priest to exorcise the mischievous phantom. Yes, a real-life priest, not just a character from one of his musicals. And you know what? It worked. The poltergeist packed its ghostly bags and bid farewell. Like, who knew that ghosts were so susceptible to a priestly intervention? Lord Lloyd Webber, apparently. For those not in the know, a poltergeist isn't your run-of-the-mill Casper-style ghost. Nope. These guys are like the rock stars of the ghost world, moving stuff, making noise, and maybe even throwing a pinch or two. Ghosts with attitude, if you will. In the end, Lord Lloyd Webber may not have seen a ghost, but he sure had his share of ghostly drama, and if you thought his musicals were full of theatrics, well, it seems like his real-life London home was giving the West End a run for its money. But hey, isn't it comforting to know that even musical legends have to deal with ghostly roommates from time to time? I can just imagine the poltergeist critiquing the sheet music, not enough haunting melodies. Andrew, talk about a ghost with high musical standards.
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, buckle up for this wild tale from Salem. So, you know Salem, right? Witch trials and all that jazz. But hold on to your broomsticks because there's more to this place than just witches. Meet Captain Joseph White. This dude was living large, a wealthy merchant in Salem. But guess what? One day, bam, found dead in his bed, bludgeoned to bits. And get this, it wasn't some random act of violence. It was a good old-fashioned cash grab. Giovanni Alabiso, the tour guide extraordinaire, spills the tea. Apparently these greedy brothers, Joseph and Francis Knapp, wanted a piece of Captain White's fortune. So they brought in their buddy Richard Crowninshield for a little DIY head-crushing operation. Picture this. It's late at night, Captain White's snoozing, and in comes Dick Crowninshield with a club. Whack! Skull crushed. Edgar Allan Poe could have written a poem about it, but he settled for the telltale heart. Now this murder isn't just your run-of-the-mill crime. It's a full-blown scandal. It even inspired the game Clue. But wait, there's more. The spirit of Captain White is apparently still hanging around his old crib, making it the ghostly Airbnb of Salem. People think he's safeguarding some treasure he left behind. Tourists snap pics of the house and surprise, spooky shadows in the windows and on the landing. Who are they? No clue. But according to Alabiso, that place is popping with ghostly activity. So next time you're in Salem, keep an eye out for Captain White's spirit. He's the OG guardian of the treasure, and his ghostly posse is on the guest list for the ultimate haunted house party.
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, imagine this. It's 1 a.m. on a frigid January night in 2014, and here's our hero, a military man on a mission to tie the knot. He and his trusty best man are cruising an 800-mile road trip from Camp Lejeune in North Carolina to Lafayette, Indiana, where true love and maybe a bit of chaos awaits. But hold on. The weather is throwing a party of its own with negative double digits temperatures. It's so cold that even the snowmen are wearing thermal undies. Our duo is pushing through, determined to reach the wedding bells on time. Now, as they approach Indianapolis, they realize they're cruising on fumes both metaphorically and literally. No gas money left. Panic mode activated. What do you do when your gas gauge is flirting with empty and your wallet is doing the same? Our hero, drawing wisdom from his trucking heritage, decides to hit up a truck stop, a beacon of hope in the snowy darkness. But of course, Mother Nature throws a curveball, and they have to navigate the back roads to find this haven. Lo and behold, they stumble upon a truck stop straight out of a mystery novel. One dark, ominous truck, no markings, just chilling. Inside, a quaint diner with a waitress, a cook, and a lone trucker. Talk about setting the scene. Our hero, with charm rivaling a rom-com lead, strikes a deal over a cup of coffee. The trucker, a hero in disguise, forks over $20 for gas. Crisis averted, right? They pump that liquid gold, promise to be back, and hit the road with a tank full of dreams. Fast forward to their triumphant return to the same diner at 10 a.m. the next morning. Drum roll, please. It's boarded up like a set from a spooky ghost movie. Did they time travel or what? Our hero, puzzled and probably craving another cup of coffee, spots a cop in the lot. They spill the beans, expecting sympathy, but the cop? Oh, he's got jokes. Apparently, they met the ghost of three. Two military folks sipping coffee and exchanging pleasantries with three phantom diner dwellers. The cop spills the tea, or coffee in this case, revealing that the place had been abandoned for a whopping 25 years. And there you have it, a tale of love, adventure, and a pit stop with the supernatural. Who knew an 800-mile journey could turn into a ghostly encounter? Life's full of surprises, my friend.
Hold tight for the next one.
Okay, so picture this. Back in the 90s, my buddy Julie from Portland was just cruising out of the city to meet up with friends. You know, living her best life. But hold on to your seatbelt because things took a turn for the weird. So there she is, stuck in traffic like the rest of us mortals. And what does she find out? There's this gnarly car crash causing the chaos. And of course, being the curious 18-year-old she is, she checks it out. But wait for it, it gets wilder. As Julie passes by the accident scene, she suddenly realizes there's a hitchhiker of the ghostly kind in her car. Yep, you heard it right, a legit ghost. I can already hear the spooky background music playing. This lady ghost is sitting there, looking all confused in her work clothes, probably wondering how in the afterlife she ended up in Julie's ride. Imagine the shock on both their faces. Julie's probably thinking, I signed up for carpooling, not ghost pooling. Now, our girl Julie, in her best superhero moment, tells the ghost lady to chill, introduces herself, and spills the ghostly beans about the accident. The ghost is like, wait, what? I was just chilling on the roadside and now I'm here? So, they pass this grove of trees and with some Julie magic, the ghost lady calmly walks toward the sun and disappears. It's like a scene from a blockbuster, right? But here's the kicker. Julie, being the sensible human she is, pulls over and thinks she probably dreamed up the whole ghostly encounter. Fast forward a few days and bam, newsflash. Trucker in a car accident, and there's the ghost lady's picture, confirming that Julie didn't just have a wild dream. She had a real-life ghostly co-pilot. Can you believe it? I mean, who needs Netflix when you've got Julie's life story providing all the supernatural drama? Spooky, bizarre, and just a tad bit hilarious. The 90s were something else.
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, buckle up for this wild tale. So, Sarah, our hero from Lancaster, Ohio, spills the beans to Monsters Among Us about her childhood pup, Cricket. Apparently, Cricket wasn't winning any awards for happiest dog ever. According to Sarah, Cricket was basically the canine version of Grumpy Cat Super Cranky, and only had eyes for Sarah's grandma. Plus, she always looked like she needed a spa day. Now picture this. The family is devastated when Cricket decides to play chicken with a passing car, and it doesn't end well. They're all set for a family vacation, but Cricket has other plans, and it involves a tragic encounter with a car tire. Despite the doggy drama, the family decides to stick to their vacation plans. I mean, they had already prepaid, and let's face it, vacations aren't cheap. So they leave Cricket in the care of an aunt who volunteers for doggy duty. Fast forward to the hotel scene. The family's mood is somewhere between melancholy and, why on earth did we leave our unhappy dog with Aunt Margie? Sarah hits the hay feeling blue, and that's when things get spooky. In the dead of night, Sarah wakes up for no apparent reason. She sits up in bed, and what does she see? Cricket, not the real grumpy version, but a full-blown ghostly Cricket, bouncing around like a doggy rave is happening in the afterlife. This ghostly apparition of Cricket is all smiles, a complete 180 from her usual cranky self. It's like she's telling Sarah, hey, I'm okay up here. The kibble is endless, and the squirrels are amazing. It's the clearest doggy ghost Sarah has ever seen, a one-time only spectral soiree. Come morning, Sarah spills the ghostly beans to her mom, who's like, sweetie, It's probably just your middle school brain playing tricks on you. But Sarah's not convinced. She can still vividly see Happy Ghost Cricket, and it's stuck with her all these years. So there you have it. A vacation, a grumpy ghost dog, and a supernatural doggy pep talk. Life's weirder than fiction, my friend.
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, buckle up, because this story takes us back to the wild, wild year of 1892. Picture this: Fall River, Massachusetts, the setting for a murder mystery that makes your average crime show look like a walk in the park. So, we've got Andrew and Abby Borden just minding their own business in their cozy home. But plot twist, they end up brutally axed to death. I mean, really? Who brings an axe to a family disagreement? Now, the suspect in this whodunit is none other than their 32-year-old daughter, Lizzie Borden. Imagine the scandal. She gets accused of axing her own folks, but in a shocking twist, she gets off the hook. Cue the dramatic music. Fast forward to today, and that same house of horrors has transformed into a bed and breakfast and museum. Talk about a real estate glow-up. History buffs and thrill seekers alike flock there to see if the place is haunted. And boy, does it have some ghostly tales to tell. Meet Suzanne St. John, the realtor and tour guide extraordinaire at the Lizzie Borden house. At first, she was all about the history, not so much the paranormal. But then, the ghostly shenanigans began. Guests claim to hear laughter and playing in the dead of night. Things move around on their own like some supernatural game of musical chairs. Suzanne even stumbled upon a room with toys scattered about and no one had been in there. Spooky, right? Now there's a picture that decides to take a stroll across the floor, no strings attached. A closet door opens like it's auditioning for a horror movie. And on the anniversary of the murders, Suzanne and her crew felt a sudden eye pain, right where old Andrew Borden met his untimely end. Coincidence? I think not. But wait, there's more. Picture this. A tour guide asks the group to silence their phones. Suddenly a phone rings. The guest answers, "It's my mom." The guide's like, "Do you need to take it?" And the woman drops the bombshell. She died 2 years ago. Cue the collective gasps. So, if you're ever in Fall River and feeling brave, maybe book a night at the Lizzie Borden house. Just be ready for a ghostly game night and some unexpected phone calls from the afterlife. It's a killer experience.
Hold tight for the next one.
Oklahoma woman's ghostly grandpa, the original imaginary friend. Hold on to your imaginary friend hats, because Jacqueline from Oklahoma just dropped a ghostly bombshell. So, get this, Jacqueline, in all her Oklahoman charm, spills the beans about her childhood pal, who wasn't your typical invisible buddy. Picture it. Granny, Junie and Pa Hank's cozy little abode, with a backyard that could rival the serenity of a spa day. Jacqueline, with a twinkle in her eye, reminisces about the good old days visiting her grandparents as a kiddo. Now, here's where it gets wild. She's chatting on the Monsters Among Us podcast, sharing the lowdown on her Pa Hank. This dude wasn't your average grandpa. He was a storyteller extraordinaire under a tree. He'd spin tales about his life, sprinkled with memories of prohibition, bootleggers, flapper dresses, the whole shebang. Here's the catch. Pa Hank checked out of the earthly realm in 1981, but Jacqueline, born fashionably late in 1982. Yeah, the math doesn't quite add up. But hold on to your ectoplasm, folks. Jacqueline, in her blissful ignorance, never realized she was getting ghostly tales from the beyond. And get this, her family was in on the spectral secret source. Granny Junie wouldn't spend the night in the house on the anniversary of Pa Hank's departure. That's commitment to ghost avoidance. Jacqueline even recalls nights when she heard Pa Hank shuffling around the house in the wee hours. Normal grandpas fetch snacks, but ghostly grandpas, they're on a midnight stroll, apparently. In a twist of cosmic irony, Jacqueline discovers that her childhood imaginary friend was, in fact, a dear departed grandfather. But hey, it's not like talking to some random ghost, it's a family affair. Forget Casper, say hello to Pa Hank, the friendly ghost grandpa. Talk about family bonding, even beyond the grave.
Hold tight for the next one.
Okay, gather around, because the Willoughby Coal Building in Ohio has a tale that's more dramatic than a soap opera. Picture this relic from the late 1800s, hosting businesses like it's the OG shopping mall, train depot, cheese factory, and even a flour mill. Talk about a multitasking building. Now, fast forward to 1912, it's doing coal business like a champ, and life is peachy. But then, enter stage left. Henry Windus and William Don Norris, the dynamic duo turned frenemies. Why? Well, Henry wanted to buy the whole coal shebang from Don, but Don wasn't having it. Cue the dramatic tension. One fine morning, Don tells his wife he's off to grab some bread, a classic move, right? But here's the plot twist. He never comes back. Hours later, they find him outside the building in a scene straight out of a mystery novel. Bloody heap and all. Was it an accident, murder? Nobody knows for sure. Knows. Now, Teresa Argy, our paranormal investigator extraordinaire, spills the supernatural tea. She swears Don's spirit is still doing the rounds in the Willoughby coal building. Apparently, the afterlife real estate market is booming. Faces in the window, mysterious footsteps, the whole ghostly package. But wait, there's more. It's not just Don haunting the joint. Teresa claims there's a whole squad of resident spirits, like the building turned into a spectral apartment complex. We're talking 5 or 6 ghostly roommates, probably having ghostly game nights and movie marathons. So, the next time you're strolling in Willoughby, Ohio, and you pass by the Willoughby coal building, give a little wave to Don and his ghostly gang. Who knew coal mining could lead to such spirited drama?
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, buckle up for the spooktacular tale of Stone's Public House, where ghosts don't just clock in, they practically have their own time cards. So picture this. Stone's, considered the VIP lounge for spirits in Ashland, Massachusetts. Janet Morosini, the fearless bartender and manager, is practically the unofficial ghost whisperer of the joint. Now, even before Janet became the guardian of the spirits, she heard rumors about a young boy ghost doing laps in the restaurant. Turns out, during the Spanish flu fiesta of 1918, Stone's was doubling as a quarantine hotspot. Talk about a historical haunting. According to Morosini, souls were dropping like flies, or maybe like pandemic-era toilet paper back then. The place is like a spiritual hangout for restless souls who just couldn't resist the vintage vibes. But wait, there's more. A little girl, tragically meeting her end near the tracks, decided to make Stone's her eternal playground. One evening, a dad and his son had a front row seat to a ghostly choo-choo show. The son swears he saw a little girl sobbing next to them, but Dad's more skeptical than a ghostbuster with a faulty proton pack. Now, if you thought that was the end of the guest list, think again. John Stone, the OG proprietor, may not have kicked the bucket on the premises, but he's apparently pulling a 24/7 shift as the ghostly guardian angel. Janet once heard footsteps on the second floor when she was all alone, and in a move that would make any horror movie protagonist proud, she decided it was time for an immediate exit. But here's the plot twist. Janet doesn't think these spirits are troublemakers. No hair-raising, spine-tingling moments for her. Stone's Public House is basically the friendliest haunted joint in town. It's like Cheers, but with more ethereal patrons and less beer spills. So if you're ever in Ashland and feeling a bit ghost-curious, Stone's might just be the place where the spirits know your name, and they're surprisingly chill about it.
Hold tight for the next one.
Oh man, you won't believe the wild story Robert told me about his paramedic days in the 90s. So picture this. Robert and his partner got a call about a lady with chest pains, right? Classic emergency stuff. They kick into high gear, flipping on the emergency lights and sirens, speeding through a small Texas town. Now, keep in mind, back then, GPS was just a dream. So they were navigating with maps and squinting at mailbox numbers. The address they were heading to was out in the boonies, no streetlights, pitch dark night. Robert's like, it was so dark, we could have been searching for Narnia. As they fumbled around trying to find the right driveway, Robert decides to kill the sirens. They think they've hit the jackpot, but nope, wrong driveway. Cue the Benny Hill music as they back up and finally find the right one. Guess what? They'd been to that exact address a month ago for a dude having a cardiac party. Classic deja vu, right? In a dark humor twist, they joked that it was probably the wife's turn now. They jump out, superhero style with their bags, ready to save the day. Thankfully, the lady turns out okay. They send the partner to grab the stretcher, and that's when things get real Twilight Zone. The ambulance parked in the dark is like a Christmas tree on steroids, all lights blazing. Robert's like, dude, did you go disco mode on the ambulance? Partner's face? Utter confusion. They both swear they turned everything off after the wrong address fiasco. Later, they try to make sense of it. Robert's partner didn't hit the light show button, and Robert sure as heck didn't either. So, what's the deal? They chalk it up to the lady's deceased husband giving them a supernatural light show, just to say, hey, I'm still around, folks. I mean, seriously, if that's not the weirdest and most mysterious paramedic call ever, I don't know what is. Life in a small Texas town, right? Always keeping you on your toes.
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, buckle up for a spooky tale from 1812 in Yorkshire. It's like something out of a ghost story. Ghostly march of the undead soldiers shocks Yorkshire farmers in 1812, spectral encounter. So imagine this scene. It's a Sunday evening, around 7 or 8 o'clock, and you've got Anthony Jackson, a 45-year-old farmer, and young Martin Turner, a 15-year-old farmer's son, just casually checking on their cattle in Havre Park near Ripley. Now, this park belongs to Sir John Ingleby, the Bart. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Martin points and goes, "Hey, Anthony, check out all those beasts." But here's the kicker. Those weren't ordinary animals. Anthony squints and goes, "Hold on, those are not beasts, those are men." Yep, turns out they were staring at an army of ghostly soldiers in white military uniforms. Creepy, right? Right in the middle of this spectral army was a personage of commanding aspect, decked out in scarlet. These ghost soldiers in perfect order start marching up a hill, passing by our bewildered duo about 100 yards away. And just when you think it can't get any weirder, another group of ghostly soldiers, even larger and in dark-coloured clothes, pops up and starts following the first crew. No hostility, just a casual ghostly parade. As both ghost armies march away, a mysterious volume of smoke suddenly blankets the whole plain. This smoke is so thick that Anthony and Martin can't see their cattle for a full 2 minutes. And when the smoke finally clears, poof, the ghostly armies are nowhere to be found. I mean, talk about a bizarre and eerie encounter in the heart of Yorkshire. Ghost armies on a Sunday stroll, who would have thought?
Hold tight for the next one.
All right, imagine this. It's 1878 in Malamine, Myanmar, and we've got Lieutenant General Albert Fitcher sharing a bone-chilling ghost story straight from the Banbury Advertiser. So General Fitcher, this military guy stationed in Burma, starts off by swearing up and down that he saw a ghost with his own eyes in broad daylight. No shaky uncertainty here. He was so sure of what he saw that he could have sworn an affidavit about it. Now let me set the scene. Fitcher had this old-school buddy-turned-college friend that he hadn't seen in years. One fine morning, he's getting ready, minding his own business, when, bam! His long-lost friend strolls into the room. They exchange greetings. Fitch tells him to wait for tea in the veranda and promises to join him in a sec. But here's the kicker: when Fitcher rushes out, his friend is nowhere to be found. Fitcher is like, "What in the world?" He checks with the sentry, asks the servants, but no one has seen this mysterious friend. Fitcher is dead sure he saw him, not thinking about him or anything. It's not like he was expecting his buddy to show up. It was just a regular morning in Malamine. Fast forward 2 weeks, and Fitcher gets hit with the gut punch news. His friend had died some 600 miles away. What adds that extra layer of spine-tingling eeriness? Fitcher saw his friend's ghost right around the time he passed away. And let me tell you, Fitcher is convinced. He says, "To this day, I've never doubted that I really saw the ghost of my friend." I mean, imagine witnessing your friend's ghost and then finding out they've passed away. Gives me the chills just thinking about it.
Thanks for joining us on this eerie adventure. If you enjoyed the chills, don't forget to subscribe. More mysteries await. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay curious.